Yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really
Yeah.
excited to chat about our topic. But first, before we begin, I want to have you share a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what you have contributed to the bundle this year.
Well, I'm the plant-powered peddler because my favorite mode of transportation is on the bicycle. And we do self-contained tours, which means we carry everything on the bikes. We've got bags on the bicycles and everything's got to go in there. And we go from town to town that way. And then this weekend in Death Valley, we're driving the bikes down to Death Valley. We'll stay at a hub. We'll stay at a central area, one place, a couple places, because we were going to go to Santa Rosa, Windsor area, but the weather's just the same there as it is here. Why drive 800 miles to be in the same weather? Like, no, we're not going to do that.
Right.
So Death Valley's beautiful. It's in the 70s, and it'll be perfect. We already know 5 or 6 rides we want to do. I've never been to Death Valley. I'm very excited. And
Death
so
Valley is gorgeous. We went one time, probably about 2 years ago, because it's pretty close to where we are. We're in Vegas, so
yeah,
it's like
I
maybe
know.
2 hours. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's so amazing. I like the painted hills. I can't remember what they call that. That's one of my favorite places. And the lowest below sea level, that
Yeah,
Salt Lake. That's really
yeah.
cool too. So yeah. So how do you do it? How do you travel and bike and stuff with the food thing? Because I know that's a big, huge issue for so many people. And that's why Nate and I wrote our Tales from the Tailgate ebook to show how we plan and prep for travel. Because we like to hike and camp and backpack and do all those outdoor kinds of things too. Nate's really into mountain biking as well. So we're outdoorsy people, but we want to stay raw and we want to stay eating healthy foods. So how do you do it? What are some of your tips for healthy travel and adventures?
I'll tell you, being raw is easier than being cooked because as long as I can find produce,
Mm,
my meal becomes whatever that produce is available. And when I'm fully loaded, I carry a cutting board, a little thin one, a good knife, a peeler, a grater, and the little plastic spiralizer. And actually, I have a little plastic juicer too. So, but they don't take up too much room, and I can do anything I want with that. And I've done some things like from the bundle. This is my hope, is to inspire and show people that you can do it. Just with a knife and a cutting board, I can do it. So if you've got a car, like
yeah.
I'm excited for Saturday because I can take my NutriBullet, I can take my Vitamix,
Oh, nice.
and I mean,
Yeah.
really, that's all I need. Yeah. I'm not taking my
Yeah, just like us
dehydrator,
too.
but
Right, I know. One time we tried, so Nate built a solar powered generator, and
mhm.
he has the whole video of how he built it and all the instructions in the Tales from the Tailgate ebook. So if anyone wanted to make one, you have to buy all the parts and everything, but he has the whole video of how he built it. And
I
this solar
saw
powered
that.
generator, I
Yeah.
know, isn't it cool? It lives
Oh
on
my
our,
gosh.
and it's charged while we drive,
Uh-huh.
but then when we're sitting at camp, it's charged with the solar power. So we have unlimited power. But we did try to run the Excalibur one time, and it only lasted 2 hours, and then it ate up all the energy. So, yeah, things like how I did a live earlier. I showed the tostadas and the fiesta rice that I put on those
Yeah.
tostadas. Those tostadas we make in advance. We make the wraps in advance. So, we don't have to make those on the road. We just have to fill them and eat them, right? So it makes it a lot
Yeah.
easier when you plan. Planning is like key for that. What was that smoothie that you had? Or what was in that jar that you were showing?
This is pickled onion from
Oh,
Kiki, from her
oh, no.
plentifully rawfully or raw,
Rawish.
rawishly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just onion. And then we always carry some of the no salt seasoning from Costco. So there's some of that, and there's some of my oregano. I grow oregano, so I always take a little baggie of dried oregano because they don't take up much space. So you can even make your pickled onions if you've got the jar. So I mean, I wouldn't do this on the fully loaded tour, but I would certainly do that on what we're going to do Saturday, but it's also nice to do it ahead and just take it with me when I'm going to have the vehicle. So
That's cool. Yeah.
oh,
I love that Kiki's part of the bundle too. She's got her 2 ebooks in there, the raw, plentifully raw-ish,
mhm.
and then the bonus recipes as well. So, you know, there's those recipes in there. There's like endless amounts of recipes to
Yeah,
make. And
yeah.
yeah.
This is a pico de gallo from Elsbeth with
Oh, nice.
her book. Yeah, she's got, you know, it's just chopped up vegetables, tomatoes and cilantro and onion and jalapeno. I mean, what's
There
not
you
to love
go.
there?
Right?
And then
Delicious.
what else we got here? Oh, of course, I've got to have a raw food romance. The chickpea mash.
Ooh, you made it.
Yeah. Oh,
What do you
oh
think?
man, is it ever good? It's
You like
almost
it?
gone.
Oh,
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love all your, you know, your hummuses and your. I love sprouting. You know, today with this, I made Elspeth's pad thai, and she puts in edamame. So I just grabbed out. I had frozen mung beans, and I grabbed them out and just used the mung beans.
perfect.
So because I'd already used the chickpeas in the mash. So that's her pad thai. So there's a wonderful sauce on this, and I mean, she doesn't mean for it to be raw. I just made it raw. So
Yeah, exactly. No, that's really cool about a lot of the books in the bundle. There's like either accidentally raw recipes or
yeah.
there's recipes that you can easily make a couple little changes to and make it raw. So that's one big reason why I love the bundle so much is because I get to look at these new ebooks and new recipes and be like, oh, I could easily make that raw, right?
Hmm.
Just because, you know, somebody who's coming in who's looking for raw recipes, just because it's a book full of cooked food, like you can make tweaks. You're totally,
Yeah.
it's your prerogative. You can change it however you like, make it more raw. Like you said, use the sprouted mung beans or whatever you want to do to make it
Hmm.
raw. Hmm.
This is a fennel apple salad.
That looks so
Chop-
good.
Yeah, and this has your manganese in it. So I had to make manganese, so I used the manganese in this. And then Karen Ramsey had this hummus dressing with chickpeas. So I went ahead and used some of the chickpea mixture of yours, which has chickpeas in the manganese, which has cashews, and she puts cashews in hers. And I thought, well, that's enough cashews with what's in the chickpeas, and just put the rest of her spices in and made a wonderful dressing
Nice.
using, you know, both your stuff and her stuff. And then it goes into this too. So that manganese went into this, the chickpea, and the dressing. So I got to use it for 3 things because we're leaving. So I'll take the rest of it with me and just use it on things
Look at
because it's
you.
so good.
Oh my gosh, I'm so impressed. If anyone's listening who wants to know the mangonese recipe, that recipe is in the burger book. So if you buy the bundle from the link in either of our bios, go to our bio, go get the bundle. We don't mind if you leave the live and then go buy the bundle and come back. We don't mind because the bundle's only here until March 10th. But the mangonese recipe is in the burger book. So yeah, definitely go check it out.
I was so excited when you had everything but the bagel in your on the road book because that's what I wanted to make. Because you know, like you say, it's you can almost memorize it, and I mean I have because I make it so many times because I'm in a hurry always, you know, and so it's like and it's late because you want to make it later on in the day so it can be in there all night and so
Exactly. Yeah, you got
yeah.
it down, you know. I
Oh
love it.
yeah. I definitely, I love, you know, I get your meal plans and I've got just about all your books and of course now well, with this bundle, you've got the meal plan 3. I already had the burger book. I already had Nate's an ice cream book and I've got last year's bundle. So there's a lot there, but I really wanted actually, I think I already have the Tailgate recipe book. So, but I mean, everything's so good. It just makes being raw wonderful. And here's the thing: when I travel, I don't have all my toys when I'm fully loaded, and so I just eat simpler.
Hmm.
So I actually eat cleaner when I'm on the road because I can't. I mean, I eat clean here, but I can have treats. Like right now, I've got Jennifer's oatmeal cookie balls in the dehydrator. She baked them, but I thought, well, I'm gonna make them and just put them in the dehydrator. So I'm trying that.
Very
So, and I'm using the sprouted oats. I wrote them, the sprouted oats people, and she says they don't eat them past 118. And I said, why don't you advertise them as raw then? And she goes, well, Europe, they have to be steamed in order to pass European or Canada's standards. And I said, but they have to. That's for the States too. But just put on there they're raw, steamed at 118 degrees, and then you'll get both audiences. Because if you don't put raw on it, we've learned that if it doesn't say raw, it's probably not raw.
Right.
And so she said she would take that to her bosses, and because they're missing out by not advertising that it's raw.
Thank you so much for calling them and asking them that, because I have done a little research. I didn't actually call the company themselves like you did, but I was doing some research, and they did say, they use a little bit of heat, but it's not very much, but they never said what degree they did. And I always was like, well, it's probably not enough to be like, make or break raw. And I was like, I'm still going to have those. And then, some people online are like, no, they steam them, they heat them high heat to whatever. And I'm like, no, like what would be the point of sprouting them and then, heating them at high temperatures? Kind of defeats the purpose of that. So I'm really glad that you called them and discovered that. Thank you for sharing, because now it's like, now they're like raw, like I'm so
they
glad
are.
that they are. Yeah, that's
and that
cool.
I love to make a little treat to have, like after lunch or something, just have one cookie and so now I can, because you were saying that you have them, but it's very rare, and I'm like, oh shoot, if they're raw, I want to have a little bit more. So
no, that's cool. I would say it's more rare because we eat more like fruit and stuff like that.
Me too.
So the oats, we use them mostly for like, we do make a backpacking oat, which is in the Tales from the Tailgate ebook. We have like an oat, kind of like you just add water, let it cold soak. So you have like an oatmeal in the morning kind of a thing. You can add fruit. You can add freeze-dried fruit to that. Is really nice to make it light for travel. And then we also use the oats. We'll grind it into a flour, and we'll use that to cut the fat in certain things. Like if we have to use almond flour, we'll do half almond flour, half oat flour to kind of like lessen the amount of fat that we're using in a recipe. And it's also quite cakey. It's got a nice texture. So it's in stuff, the gnocchi recipe from Make It Raw 3. It's in there too. And we got a comment saying, what brand are the oats? The ones from Costco? Yes, it's called 1 Degree Foods. They have the sprouted rolled oats, and they're just so awesome. Oats are not raw because you cook them unless you sprout them. But the sprouted rolled oats from 1 Degree are raw because they're sprouted and then rolled at, the raw acceptable temperature. So, so glad that you discovered that. But yes, they're more expensive, but if you want it to be raw, and you want them to be more bioavailable, like the nutrition, once you sprout chickpeas, when you sprout lentils, when you sprout oats and other things, the nutrition is so much more bioavailable. So it's much more beneficial to have it that way. But yeah, so glad. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and Lindsay's asking, are oats raw? Well, these oats are raw, Lindsay. Usually not.
Yeah.
Regular rolled oats are steamed to high heat. So.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's at Whole Foods too.
Yeah,
good.
Whole paycheck. I know.
Yeah.
That's so true. Whole Foods is so expensive. That's the brand I buy. If I do overnight oats, it's considered raw then. Yes, as long as what you're using to make the oats, like if you make your own oat milk or almond milk, or like if you're making your own milk, then they are raw. But if you're using store-bought milk, then it's not raw. But I mean, those are like little discrepancies that it's not the end of the world.
Well, and of course, with the almond milk, you'd have to make sure your almonds hadn't been processed to come into the country. They'd have to be imported.
Yep, exactly. I know, and most nuts aren't. I mean, cashews aren't actually raw.
No.
But most raw foodies use them anyways. So it's not like, like these are those little tiny things that people can get really hung up on. But it's like if a little bit of cashews gets you to eat a massive salad, I was like, go for it. Like we eat cashews, and, we've been doing this for over a decade. So
it's just nice to know, if they don't say raw, they're not raw. They'll say unroasted, unsalted, but if they don't say raw, they're probably not raw.
Yeah.
And if they're sitting on a shelf in this country, they make, But
Yeah.
you can order actual raw and import them. I'm sure they'll be twice as much. But
Yeah.
um,
It's so
I
good.
just like to know.
Yeah.
I don't like to be fooled that, you know, like it never occurred to me when they said unroasted, I figured they weren't cooked.
Hmm.
And then come to find out, yeah, they are. So,
Yeah,
and
pasteurized, for
yeah,
safety purposes or
yeah,
whatever. But it is what it is. But I like your mindset because it's like you're aware, but you don't get obsessed about it because there's some people out there who can get really obsessed, and that can actually be more stress on you than is worth,
definitely.
right? So it's like just
And
reflect.
everybody around you.
Yeah, true that, true that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I just
Do you have anything
like
else that you? Oh, yeah. What were you gonna say?
Uh, I was just going to say, I just like to know, and then I can make the decision. They're not making the decision for
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I was going to ask if you have anything else that you made from the bundle that you're
Um,
taking with you.
did I show everything? So it's the chickpea, the fennel salad, the pico de gallo, the pad thai, and the onions. That's what I've been doing so far this week. And I'm trying to think if there's something that I've finished off. Oh, and then the cookies in the dehydrator. Um,
Nice. Are you going to take wraps with you?
the wraps I've taken with me, yeah, I've got 2 of them in the refrigerator and 4 of them in the freezer.
Nice.
And they freeze nice. What I like about being here is when I take them out, I just stick them in the dehydrator. Same with the tortillas. Your tortillas freeze quite nicely and they warm right up and there's not any moisture in it if you stick them in the
Oh,
dehydrator.
good, good,
So,
good, good. Yeah, yeah. I know.
yeah.
I froze one time and it cracked, so I was like, eh. But yeah, that's a great way. And plus, they're a dried food too. So if people didn't want to freeze them, you can just leave them in like a cool, dry area. As long as there's no moisture, you're good to go. So whatever works,
Yeah.
as long as people can get the food in, that's what counts, right?
And
Hmm.
what a way to get the food in. Oh my gosh. On a bike ride, it's so much fun that at lunchtime I pull out my half wrap, so I fill it at wherever we're staying and not just bicycling. I mean, I went to the conference in Cleveland last summer, took a bunch of wraps with me, just layered them like you do in between the parchment paper, and they put them in my suitcase and they lasted no problem whatsoever. I mean, they're so travelable. They're forgiving as long as you
They
take good
really
care
are.
of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chef AJ and I are going to Rancho La Puerta at the end of the month. So I wanted to celebrate her 65th birthday with her there. So I'm like, I'm
Hmm.
gonna go. So to do that though, like we have to take the wraps in and we're just gonna put it in our checked bag and you can take that in. They're really, really cool with the pre-made stuff.
Hmm.
They don't say much. If it's in your check bag, they're pretty cool. But we've taken stuff on airplanes as well. Like we'll take our wraps on airplanes, and people always ask, they're like, "You can take food on an airplane?" It's like, yes, you can.
Oh,
You can take food on an airplane. You
yeah.
just have to be aware of like the sauces, for example. Nate and I, we have the little shampoo bottles that
Yeah.
are the 100 ml size. We just buy a brand new set of those and we put our sauce in those and we've never had a problem because as long as it's under the 100 mils per bottle, they don't care. They'll let you on with sauces and whatever else you need for your wraps. And we've taken wraps on airplanes and like it's really fun to be able to like unwrap your wrap and have your sauce and everything on the
It
airplane.
is. You
Everyone else
eat
is
better
eating.
than everybody around you.
Exactly. Everyone else eating peanuts or
Yeah.
whatever. You have like a really good, healthy meal. But again, it comes down to planning. Like what you're doing right now with all of those meals that you've made, you're taking the time before you go so that you can fully enjoy your time when you're traveling. And that's something that Nate and I do as well. It's like we want to enjoy our camping trip.
Yeah.
We don't want to be worried about like where are we going to eat? What are we going to do? We plan all of that before. We do all the planning, we do all the prep, we do whatever we need to do beforehand so that when we do go on our trip, when we go on our hike, we just pull it out and, maybe do a little chopping, maybe a little mixing, and, we're good to go. And it's so freeing, instead of before, I used to always take traveling as a reason to eat junk food. And that would be like
Exactly.
that would be like my thing. I'd be like, oh, I'm so excited to go on this trip because I get to eat this and this and this, and and then I wouldn't really fully enjoy my trip. And people often say like, well, Lissa, don't you enjoy your life when you're eating raw because you're not getting to go to this place or whatever. And it's like I actually enjoy my life like thousands of times more than I used to when I used to eat those things, because now that I'm eating the healthier options and eating foods that I love and that love me back, I have such a better experience with like we went canyoneering, we've gone river rafting, we hiked to the top of mountains, we go camping, and it's just we enjoy it so much more because we have the energy and we're healthy and we don't feel sick all the time or joint pain and stuff like that. So, it just takes a shift. When you're habitually eating those kinds of foods when you're traveling, it becomes a habit, and you just have to change the habit. You have to change so that you prepare and things like that. And I mean, have you been there before, before you switched your lifestyle over? Did you used to do the same thing?
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Mm,
And not only during the trip, because pretty quick when you're eating crap, you start feeling like crap,
yeah.
and my clothes would stop fitting. I mean, I've lost 90 pounds on this, since my high, and so now I'm skinny and I love it, and I can travel and I don't have the stress of, oh no, I'm going on this trip. And that mindset that in my travel challenge book, that's the first thing that I address is, if you don't change your mind, you're not going to change your habits. And even if you want to, if inside you have that conditioning that when you go on a travel, you should relax, have somebody wait on you, go to a restaurant. Like people all the time, they'll say, oh, for my birthday, though, I'm going to treat myself to a restaurant. What is a treat about a restaurant? It's expensive. You can't get what you want. There's always salt, sugar, and fat in it. You feel miserable afterwards. We just have it in here that it's going to be a treat. And it's like, no, I would much rather do what I do, go to the grocery store, get exactly what I want. And for me, we're riding all day and we're in the traffic, we're with a group of people. To me, it is so relaxing that I can go take a hot bath. It's relaxing to chop my food. I've just been to the store because when we're bicycling, we don't want to carry a lot. I mean, we have pedal assist e-bikes now, so we can carry as much as we want. But everything's still got to fit in those bags, and the bags are pretty full, with clothes and tools and gear.
Yeah.
And so we plan every night where we're going to stay. There's typically, we'll stay at a hotel close to the grocery store so that we can just walk over, so that we can put the bikes away for the night, get the batteries charging, and just walk over to the store. And then we figure out what we're going to have, and it'll be based on what we've got left from the day before, what's available in the store, and what we've got available to make with. So Stephen, my husband, when he comes, he still cooks. So he actually carries a 0.6 liter rice cooker.
Mm-hmm.
And he loves this vegetable soup that I make him, so much so that he makes it now. And he makes it at home.
Mm-hmm.
He likes it so much, he cooks it every night. And he makes it every night, just like we do in the hotel. And then he gets it nice and fresh. And it's just ingredients from the grocery store, some onions, some garlic. We'll get a zucchini, and we'll maybe, have the zucchini in thirds. And actually, he'll eat the soup for dinner and breakfast the next morning, and he might take it for lunch the next day, or I might put some of the vegetables in my salad. I'll usually have a salad for breakfast. I'll usually have a bunch of fruit. So I'm going to look at your oatmeal recipe. Wouldn't that be fun to soak some oatmeal and have some oatmeal for breakfast? I haven't had oatmeal. Even with Chef AJ, I was veggies for breakfast, and now I do more the fruit for breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, we lost power for 48 hours last week because of a windstorm.
Mm-hmm.
I ate like a queen. I still had my salads. I had my fresh fruit. And poor Steven, he couldn't cook anything. We just have this little beach house, and we don't have any way to. We used to, because we used to camp more and we had cooking stuff, but we've gradually gotten rid of that because we've just shifted to me bicycling and Steven. He's going to be 78 this year. I'm going to be 70 on the 17th. And yeah, so I still want to keep traveling, but he's sort of settled in and he's getting into all these projects at home, and so he's not sure if he's going to do more tours, but he was doing it, last year, and I was making him his veggie soup, mushrooms for umami, and put some of the no salt seasoning in there. I made it actually. Nan had me on last week and wanted to ask me all about the bicycle touring. So I went ahead and made a batch of the vegetable soup and showed it. It was done, I showed all the raw vegetables in a bowl, and then I showed the cooked version, and then Stephen ate it for dinner that night. So.
That's awesome. Right. Yeah. And Nate says in the chat, happy early birthday, Janet. You're a rock star. And yes,
Oh,
happy
thanks,
early
Nate.
birthday. That's so awesome. I really love that you said that too, that point about deserving, because, when we say like, oh, I deserve takeout food, or I deserve this or that or the other thing, it's like, what do we truly deserve though? Like, do we deserve to feel good? Do we deserve to treat ourselves right? Like, what do we truly deserve? And it's everyone's prerogative. Like, they can choose whatever they want, but it's like, we really got to dig deep and ask ourselves, what do we really, 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 really want? Right?
I
Because we
think at
might
some
want to
point,
take, yeah.
I think at some point it hit me that I don't want that stuff. I don't.
Mhm.
Why do I think it's a treat to poison myself on my birthday? No. I would rather. I mean, we tried a couple of restaurants and we were so disappointed. We felt, gosh, we spent so much money, because by the time you say, not this, not this, not this, but I can do this, this, and this, and they want to charge you for every little thing. And I know it's getting better, and I'm really grateful that there are people like I'm going on with Kathy Hester. And Kathy and Cheryl are the restaurant queens. They still want to go out. So they can help people that want to go out, because I think that, and I mean, I know them too. Calling ahead and planning, and I'll take my food anyways, because I've been out in the car eating my meal, because there's just nothing there for me to eat, and things like just asking for a plate and even paying them for the plate if need be, if that's what they want. And some will work with you, and some they look at you like a deer in the headlights. And there's, by the time that all gets planned out, I can be in my hotel room, relaxing in my PJs,
Mm-hmm.
having my dinner, having quiet time. I just love it.
I
I
know,
just
me too.
prefer it.
I know Nate and I as well. We totally hear you loud and clear, because that's exactly how we like to do it too. Like you said, there are some great places. Like if we do go to like Salt Lake City, they have like the Rawtopia place, so we get the raw stuff there. But a lot of the places that we really enjoyed, like Pixie Retreat in Portland, NW Raw in Ashland, there was the Sun Cafe in LA. There was Go Raw Cafe here in Vegas. There was also Veg Nation here in Vegas. They've all closed in the last few years. So it's like, you know, people want the restaurants. They say they do, but they don't necessarily support them enough to have these places stay afloat. And that's where it's like, we gotta make our own stuff. We have to take the initiative, and we have to do the planning and the prep. And it might feel boring, or, you might be exhausted before your trip and you're just like, I don't want to do it. But when you're on your trip, it's going to be so much better. Like you said, you're in your hotel room, you're making your food, you're eating it, you're relaxing, getting ready for the next day without having to like travel around, drive to the restaurant, park, and like all of that other stuff. So like restaurants are great, and the atmosphere is really nice, and it's nice to be served every once in a while. But when it comes down to it, it's like, we make some delicious food, like those tostadas that we just made. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And nowhere makes that kind of stuff. No one makes the wraps. So it's like, got to make it yourself.
And you two serve each other. I mean, Nate is
That's
so wonderful. Yeah.
true.
And my hubby too. It's just, it's more intimate, I think, to just be at home, and there's not a lot of noise. There's no smoke. There's no, you don't have to get there and then get home. By the time we've ridden 40, 50 miles, I don't want to, once I settle down, once I've had that hot bath, I don't want to go anywhere.
Right. I hear you. I wouldn't want to do that either.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And
Right.
I hope to encourage people. I'm like, you could do this. So that I thought, if we change the mindset to, oh, I have to do this, to let's make it a challenge.
Yes.
You can do it, and just see if there's anybody who's interested. I think for the most part, if you're not doing it, you're just not interested. You're still in that mindset that it's special to go out, and until that switch flips, it's going to be tough on you, because if you're not going out and everybody else is. So everybody else in my group, we all watched the same DVD, Killing You Alive, and we all went vegan.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh. But how many of us stayed vegan? There's 4 of us.
Right.
The other ones they're, you know, like when we eat this week, they'll stay vegan. But it's because we eat out at restaurants, and it's a slippery slope. You smell that food, you see that food, it's visually appealing, it smells good, and they slip right back into it, and they're feeling lousy. They've got issues going on,
Right.
and they keep saying they've got to get back. And I hear that so much. Oh, I got to get back on. I got to get back on. And I can't do it. I can't do it. It's such a slippery slope. I don't want to go there.
I know and that's why I created my Align and Awaken Affirmation Meditation Challenge that you get in the bundle.
Yeah.
So again, everybody go to the link in either of our bios and go get the bundle, because when you buy the bundle, you get access to my brand new affirmation video course. It's a challenge. So it's a 30-day challenge. Every day there's different videos on different topics, like, you know, dealing with procrastination, or dealing with not wanting to make the food, or, you know, being okay with where your body is at whatever stage you're in. You know, there's lots of different affirmations in there. And over the 30 days, you say 3,000 affirmations with me. There's 100 affirmations every single day, meant to help you reprogram your mindset. And it's not just 30 days. Once you're done the 30 days, you got to keep going, because we're dealing with years, decades of beliefs that we believe about ourselves. It's hard to eat healthy. It's expensive to eat healthy. My friends and family aren't doing it, so it's hard for me to do it. And like all of these, they're just belief systems, because you can do it if you shift and if you change, and you change what the core beliefs that you believe about eating healthy.
We were up in Canada. We rode up into Banff, Jasper National Park. We were in Waterton National Park. We spent 30 days on the bicycles, fully loaded. I stayed raw the whole time.
Wow.
It wasn't a problem. If I can stay raw on a bicycle, people can just go whole food, plant exclusive, if they want. And I want to help. If you know, I'll go on the trip with them virtually. Their first trip. If they want to take the travel challenge, it's my mission to help people feel what it feels like to go on a trip, to go on vacation, and go happy, be on it happy, and come home happy, to where, oh no, now I've got to stop eating all that crap, and I want it. You know, if you just do it once, you've got one under your belt, and then you do it again, and you get another one under your belt. It's a series of getting successes under your belt, because, like you say, Lissa, we've been conditioned the other way for so long. It's hard to get that first one. It takes a lot of effort to do it the first few times, and it gets easier the more you stay on it. If you slip, then the brain goes right back to that recording of, oh yeah, you got to do this, and it doesn't want to get back on. It's like, you know, if you start, when this is the 3rd time I've gone raw, and you know this too, that I would slip back into eating cooked food, and then it was hard to get off the cooked food again. Although eating raw really resonates with me. It calls me, just like it called you. It's like you can't leave it alone. And then I had this big skin breakout on my face, and so I thought, you know, I'm going raw. So I was still in bicycling season, and I went raw in September this time. And then in October, I started Dr. Goldner's Raw Hyper Nourishing Hyper Hydration, because I didn't dare do that much water while I was still biking, because I don't have the choices of where to go sometimes, and I didn't want to be peeing my pants. So as soon as bicycling season was done, I started working up to that 96 ounces at least a day of water, and her raw plan. And so then once and then my skin cleared right up. I also did that juicing for a while to help it. And then I just settle back into your plans, because you've got so many great ideas, and I've got tons of, I've got binders full of them to where I can do a meal plan for the week. And of course, like I say, I just finished the tortillas, and I mean, it makes 14 tortillas for me, and I just love getting the tortilla out. And really, one tortilla at a time, it fills me up with all the other stuff we put on it, the sauces and the vegetables and the sprouted beans. And so they last me a long time. So that's why I freeze them, because I want to make sure they don't start getting moldy. Right. It's moisture up here, so things mold up here more easily than in Vegas, I think.
Yeah. It's dry here. I know. We just keep them in a container. And you can also put like the food grade silica packets in there to help absorb a little extra. But yeah, like we have ours. Sometimes they'll have them for like months, because we'll make 80 to 120 different tostadas.
You've got them everywhere.
I know, because we have 3 dehydrators. We have 3 9-tray dehydrators, and we can fit like 36 in each one. So we'll do like, when we make them, we make a lot, and then we just have them for months, and they last just fine. So yeah, it's really cool to hear your story about the raw, and that you're embracing more of it. And it's so true. It's like we have to continually make those choices, and they do get easier. They get easier. They get easier. Like people will say something like, don't you miss cooked food or whatever? And I'm like, I don't actually. Like when I think of food, I think of raw, and that's just how it is, because that's what I've been doing for 10 years, and it's normal. And it got so easy, and I never would have thought that I would be here when I first went raw, because you're dealing with past habits.
Yeah.
And you have to fight those past habits, but instead of fighting them, just embrace the new habits. Focus on the new stuff. Focus on what you want for your life. Focus on all that, because then the old stuff just falls away, because your focus is on the positive things.
And if you do slip back, just know it's a part of the process. Like this third time, it's just been so easy. I don't want it. And I love it when I get to that point where I realize I don't want it. And I think that, a lot of wanting it is from conditioning. It's habit. And when you really pay attention, which is what the meditation is so good for, and the sayings, affirmations, that you start to see, wait a minute, is it me that wants this, or was it my mom and dad that wanted it? And I'm getting myself mixed in with what they wanted, and they might have gotten mixed up with what their parents wanted, or other people. And like just today, one of my friends was saying how I'm starving myself, I'm so thin, and I said, how come you never were afraid for me when I was overweight?
Right.
Nobody ever says anything to me when I'm overweight. And now that I'm skinny, and I know I'm skinny, I love being skinny. I'm 107 pounds, and I'm close to 5'5". And I want to be skinny right now, because for 65 years, I couldn't get the darn weight off. And now I can easily keep it off, especially being raw. And she's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why.
Good point.
I said I was a lot I had high cholesterol. My blood pressure was inching up. I mean, when you're overweight, that's when people should say, have you gotten your blood checked, or your heart? I mean, people die. I mean, did you know Julia? Her son died. He never woke up. He had a heart attack, I guess.
Oh.
So the poor, our Julia.
Oh, that's so sad. I know it's really sad, the state of, the way that we are as society, and how, somebody had mentioned earlier, like if they don't go out with their family, then they're ostracized or said that they're uptight and stuff like that. Like society really needs to change and start embracing and allowing people to have that, giving grace to people when they are trying to eat healthier, instead of feeling like they're being attacked because somebody is eating something different. And what I found as well is, like, when you go out with a group of people and you're the one that eats the salad and everyone else is eating pizza or wings or whatever, they all see your salad. It's like a mirror, and it's reflecting their choice back on them. So it has nothing to do with you.
Right.
The reason that they feel ostracized or the reason that they feel uncomfortable when you eat a salad in front of them is because of their choices. And they feel uncomfortable because they're like, I don't want to change. I don't want you to change. I don't want anything to change. I like this. And,
So true.
so they have this subconscious defense mechanism, and you'll get people either they become a bully where they kind of make fun of you or whatever. It's a defense mechanism to protect their own choices, right? So they'll bully you, or they'll make funny, like they'll poke jokes. They'll be like, bacon or whatever. They, like they'll try to joke it out, and that's their way of coping with it. Or they debate you. There's the debater who will just like, it doesn't matter even if they agree with you, they're still going to take the opposite stance, and they're going to say like, but what about blah, 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 and what about blah, blah, blah. And they cause a stir because they're trying to protect their own choices. So again, when you go out with other people, it has nothing to do with you. It's your choice that is, it's exposing stuff within your friends and family or coworkers that they don't want to face at that time. And so it's not your fault. It's that they know that they should probably be changing, and they don't feel that great. And, they know that they should be doing something else. And so it's just knowing that they are going through something when they see your salad, and giving them as much love as you possibly can. Like, change the subject. That's like one of the biggest things that works for me, is changing the subject and not bringing up veganism or raw or anything like that.
That's
Sometimes
right.
I'll just say, I'm just trying to eat healthier. What about you? I heard you got a new job, and let them start talking about themselves, and then they'll forget about it. Like, try to make them feel loved and accepted, because that's usually what they're feeling. They're feeling neglected or abandoned or judged or whatever. So yeah, definitely have to give them a lot of love, but it's challenging these days, with the way
But I was there. I was
I
just
was
like them.
yeah.
So it's easy for me to just give lots of space. And, I hold a potluck every month for vegans, for whole food, plant-based potluck for the pods, the pod network, the PCRM. And people come in and actually, tell you the truth, I don't eat any of the potluck food because I don't trust any of it. I bring my own food,
Right.
and nobody ever says anything. Nobody cares. For the most part, nobody cares. It's just, if you make a deal out of it, then you might get some sort of pushback. But people they're into their own thing. They're not like
Exactly.
good idea.
And you'll get those random people who are genuinely interested, and that's when you can open up and share more and all that stuff, share your food with them. But yeah, for the most part, it's really just on them, and you got to do what works. You gotta plan, you gotta make it work for yourself, because we can't rely on restaurants. We can't rely on other people. We gotta make our own food if we want to choose healthy, and it just is what it is. So we have to start embracing, again, change that mindset that it's hard, that it's challenging, make it fun. Like what you said, it's like, how can we do this? Like, how can we make it work? Like, that's exactly what Nate and I do. We're like, what cool thing can we take to the mountaintop? Like, let's take sushi and eat sushi on the peak of a mountain. Like, why not? Right? Like, and that makes it fun.
Sushi is amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So cool. Well, thank you very much, Janet, for joining us in the bundle. Thank you for all the work that you're doing for helping people. And people, if you want to join the Travel Challenge, buy the bundle, and you get access to Janet's Travel Challenge ebook. You can get that from the link in my bio, or from her bio, or in the description box below if you're watching on YouTube. So go grab the bundle. There's so many amazing, delicious, awesome things in there for you. Just $49. Allows you to download $5,600 worth of content. There's 83 things that you get to download, and all you pay is $49. So go grab the bundle. And thank you very much, Janet, for joining. I hope you have a wonderful time in Death Valley.
Okay.
That sounds like fun. I'm going to follow you. I'm going to watch.
Okay. I'll be on Instagram every day.
Awesome. Cool.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Have a wonderful night, everybody, and go grab the bundle.
Bye, everybody.